All right. Hello, everyone, and happy Wednesday. We are live. It is Chuck Gross here. I hope everyone's having a great week. So let's get started. Uh, just a quick reminder, the Q&A portion of the Hangout is now turned on, and you can ask questions to me live. I'll go through the questions that have already been asked before that, and then I'll check to see if there's any after that. Please do note there is a slight delay between when you ask your question and when I see it, so please don't wait till the last minute. Any questions that kind of fall through, let me know, and I'll take care of answering them. Oh, and I did want to mention too, there won't be a hangout next week. I am going to do a podcast, and I will make sure that I get that out to everyone once the link is available. So just please keep that in mind. All right, on to our first question. So this is a group of questions, and this group of questions come from Sunny. And Sunny asks, "What do you think about meal and nutrient timing? And do I need to add protein after my workouts? For example, what if I want to do intermittent fasting?" Sonny loves the flexibility it gives him for dinner, and he also wants to know, what about if I work out in the morning? All right, so that's a lot of questions, but they're a great group of questions, Sonny, so thank you. So as to your question about the meal and nutrient timing, for weight loss, it's not unimportant, but there are things that are far more important first. So credit goes out to Eric Helms, who is a bodybuilding contest prep coach, and he created this idea of the hierarchy of importance for weight loss. So the most important thing at the bottom of this hierarchy, or the bottom of the pyramid, would be that the calories are there. They're the most important thing. Take care of the calories first. Then the next level would be your macronutrients, your protein, fat, carbs, and fiber. And then come your micronutrients, your vitamins and minerals. So once you've entirely covered those three bases and there's no additional improvements to be made in those three things, then you can look at meal and nutrient timing. And then after that, at the very tippy top, where it's the least important thing, is supplements. That's dead last. So when you look at meal and nutrient timing, the only thing that really matters is how that meal timing and nutrient timing makes you feel. Do you have enough energy? How are your workouts and your recovery from those workouts going? Are you in a good mood? Uh, is your libido high or low? Are you quick to anger? Those types of things. It's basically a general gauge on, is this meal timing, is this nutrient timing working for me? Or really, is this calorie level working for me? If you're answering that you feel like crap, your libido is low, you don't have the energy, you're in a bad mood all the time, you don't want to work out, something probably should change at that point. So is your meal timing and or nutrient timing, is it helping your hunger levels or is it hurting your hunger levels? That's an important one to ask. In Sonny's case, it sounds like the fasting is helping him fit his larger meals in the morning, or I'm sorry, in the evening. And that's the exact same strategy I use. I find that it helps my hunger, but it also helps my adherence, because if I want to go out to dinner, a social occasion comes up, I have a lot more freedom. And that freedom, that flexibility is a key for adherence for me. If I ate most of my calories before dinner time and I only had a smaller portion of calories to fit in at dinner, I'd feel like it would be a little bit harder to fit, uh, a social event like someone calling me and saying, "Hey, we're going out for wings. Do you want to come?" It would be harder to fit those in, and it would kind of constrain my choices a little bit. So the fact that I have that freedom is really an eye opener for me as far as sticking to things. So as far as protein after workouts, uh, protein after a workout is certainly going to help your muscles recover, but you don't really have to hit some magical window of time after a workout where you have to slam back a protein shake. And if you don't drink that protein shake in that window, all your muscles are going to melt off, or it was a waste of a workout. I've seen some crazy things happening where people are saying, "Oh, if you don't get any protein in within 10 minutes of working out, you shouldn't have even bothered working out and you're going to lose all your muscle." That's pretty ridiculous. I would say, as a general rule, maybe try to get some protein in a meal within an hour of working out, but don't stress out about it. You're not a contest bodybuilder. You don't need to take post workout shakes if you don't want to. Any meal that has some amount of protein after your workout is fine. Uh, for weight loss, you really don't have to stress about this stuff too much at all. It's pretty much cover the calories, cover the macronutrients, cover the micronutrients, and then after that, it's basically whatever makes you feel good and that you can stick to for the long term. Um, there are some exceptions to this, but for the most part, you want to be going with a strategy to lose weight that can help you sustain whatever weight you lose. There are some times when you'd want to be a little bit more aggressive to kind of push through changing your habits, and that's going to vary person to person. If you feel like you'd like to be a little bit more aggressive temporarily, please let me know and we can do that. But I find it good to kind of alternate between those scenarios. I'll have weeks where I drop my calories severely low for someone my size, and that kind of helps me recalibrate so that when I bring them back up to where I was before, it feels different. So that's something to keep in mind. So the next thing that Sonny talked about is that he wanted to work out in the mornings. I think that's great. Working out in the mornings is awesome for a number of reasons. One of which is that you kind of set your day up for success. And I like to say you kind of turn the volume down for the rest of your day. No matter what happens, you've already worked out. But if you want to combine that with fasting, plenty of people do that and they don't have an issue. The general idea is that you would work out fasted and then you'd have some branched chain amino acids, commonly called BCAAs. You'd have them afterwards, and then you can make like a big jug of water that have the BCAAs in them, and then you'd kind of sip on that until your first meal. I've never used BCAAs myself. I don't have a particular recommendation for buy this brand or this flavor or anything. When I do buy protein supplements, which is rare, I'll usually go with the ones from MyProtein. BCAAs are just the certain specific amino acids that make up proteins, but it's not a full protein shake. Like the flavoring is just going to be very minimal. The calorie differences are going to be huge. A serving of BCAAs might have 10 calories. A serving of a protein shake to get the same amount of protein or amino acids would be like 110 to 150 calories. So there's a big difference there. It's basically, the essence of what a protein shake is distilled to the very bare minimums, and it's, specific amino acids. So, like I mentioned, for me to go through this personally, I don't normally work out in the morning. So this would be like an adaptation period for that. And I normally have something to eat right before I work out. Every day when I work out, I have a banana like right beforehand. And that gives me some nice quick energy to get through the workout. So you kind of have to adapt to, if you're not used to working out in the mornings, you have to adapt to that. And working out fasted is another adaptation. So I can't say for sure if you'd want to do both of those at the same time. Might be a little bit harder for you. If you're already in the habit of working out in the mornings and it's easy and it's routine, then yeah, you can switch to, working out fasted in the morning. But you might find some difficulty if you try to change these two key habits right away and both at the same time. It might be too much to kind of deal with, with everything else going on. However, I think that everyone's fat loss or weight loss journey is a grand experiment. So if you try it and you fail, you've learned something. So I find value in that too. So I'm not going to say don't try it. I'm going to say just be aware that it might be more difficult than you think and might be an obstacle. So, yeah, like I said, I've kind of thought about doing this myself. It would definitely be an adaptation for me on both of those fronts. I'm not a morning person whatsoever. I require coffee to move in large amounts. I'm naturally a night person, and I've kind of had to shift out of that by necessity. But when my son goes to kindergarten in the fall, I'm considering kind of changing my schedule up drastically, which would make morning workouts the preferable way to do things because I'd be getting home later in the evening. So, again, like Sonny, I would prefer to have a larger meal in the evening still. So that's going to be something I'm going to kind of want to think about and plan it out in advance. So if anything I've said about these series of questions results in more questions, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. I've been fasting off and on for, I want to say, over 6 years. This bout of fasting has, I think, been a year now without any breakfast, except occasionally, and it's working really well for me as far as adherence goes. And the flexibility is a big key part of that. So, alrighty. The next question comes from Candace, and Candace asks, is there an issue with alternating caloric intake from day to day? Candace is finding that she's consuming less than 1,000 calories on days when she's working because she's so busy and there's no time for her to eat. And then on the days she's off, she's either at or almost over her calorie goal on MyFitnessPal. And she just wants to know if this would be considered an alternate fasting diet and if that's going to hinder her weight loss at all. So that's a great question, Candace. In general, what really matters for weight loss is kind of looking at your trend over time. So the average calories you're getting in a week will matter for weight loss more so than how many you get in one single day. In the long enough term, a single day really means very little. You didn't gain weight in one day, you don't lose weight in one day. So it's really the succession, the consistency over time that matters. So if you are consistently in a calorie deficit on average for a week, you'll lose weight. It won't slow you down. Two other things to mention though related to that is that doesn't really take health into account, and that if you're constantly having these giant jumps in calories, your weight is going to fluctuate as a result of that. If you don't eat a lot one day and then you eat a lot the next day, your weight's going to jump up. So you do have to be aware of that and be prepared for it, and don't be surprised. If you eat 800 calories one day and you eat 2,000 calories the next day, that could be even a couple pound jump overnight due to multiple reasons. Larger volume of food, larger weight of food, probably additional sodium, potassium, magnesium. These are just micronutrients in your food. Additional carbs, additional water. All those things add weight to your body. It's not fat. You just have to be aware of that. So as I mentioned about the health aspect, if you eat super low calories on one day and then you go over on calories the next day, you have to make sure that you're covering your vitamin and mineral needs on the day that you're at maintenance or above. If you're really, really low on calories, it's not going to kill you. One day is not going to do that. A couple days a week is not going to do that. But the lower your calories go, the more important your food choices become. Because if you have really low calories and it's just you're eating whatever because you're not hungry, what you eat is so important because you have to make sure you're getting enough vitamins and minerals to support your health. I've seen people use this strategy to great success, but it does vary person to person. It's very easy, I find, to fall into a pattern of eating less on one day, really low, and on that day, you don't think anything of it. You're too busy to notice. The next day, you're super hungry, and then you're not making the best food choices the next day. And as a result of that, you're not getting the vitamins and minerals you need to be healthy and to feel good. And you're kind of stuck in that cycle. And that can, over time, result in negative patterns regarding food and food choices. And sometimes that could be something that leads to overeating followed by undereating, and then you kind of get locked in that cycle. Well, I overate yesterday, I need to undereat today, and because I'm undereating today, I'm probably going to overeat tomorrow, and that starts to get into the cycle of binge eating and then starving yourself. And that's what I would never ever want to see anyone get anywhere near that happening as a pattern. So it's just something to be aware of. In my experience in working with people, I am much more happy if you kind of find your balance. I understand that if you're busy, it's easy to not eat. Maybe look at what we were talking about earlier, the intermittent fasting. I do that for the same thing. I am super busy from 6 a.m. to like 2 p.m. And that's usually when I eat my first meal, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And that's kind of when I start to wrap up my day. And then I go home to see my family. That just works for me. When I'm super focused on things from 6 to 1, I'm super focused and I don't worry about eating. I don't feel hunger. It's not a concern. But after that, I make sure to get a meal in, and then I make sure to account for my total calories for the day. Like I always say, every single strategy works, but it doesn't work for everyone. You have a strategy out there that we may have found it yet, we may have not found it yet, and it's probably going to be a combination of some other strategies. Every fad diet works, but it doesn't work for everyone, and it really is just what can you stick with consistently. So Candace, if you find that eating low calories on some days, really low calories on some days, and then eating at maintenance on other days works for you, and it doesn't lead you to being deficient in vitamins and minerals and fiber and protein, and it doesn't lead you into a binge eating cycle, then I'd say you've kind of found what works for you and go for it. And it should not impact your fat loss on a long enough term. Now, again, I want to mention this again because it is important. Outside of those things, please be careful of falling prey to being tied up with the scale and how that can jump up and down as a result of doing that. So as long as you're not emotionally tied to the scale, that seeing your weight go up as a result of that is going to crush you and make you upset, which it does for most people. So that's why I'm mentioning it. Then I'd say, okay, it sounds like we should probably talk about this a little bit in further depth, but I believe I've kind of covered in general all the bases as to how that would apply to anyone watching. So I think that kind of covers everything that was asked so far. Let me just kind of switch over here. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions being asked, but if you had a question and I missed it, or you'd like to see something answered, let me know if you want it either on the next Hangout or if you'd like for me to answer it at that time. And then, like I mentioned, next week there won't be a Hangout. I'll be doing a podcast. As soon as that podcast link is available, I'll get it out to you. It's still going to be fitness related, but it's kind of a friend of mine, and we're going to be BSing back and forth, so it should be fun too. All right, so I think that covers it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your questions, and have a good night. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.